I'm at the point in my life where I don't have to make a lot of money because I have made a lot of money.
Sure.
And so I'm vice president of marketing for a nonprofit. I don't get paid. And one reason I was a little late was we have a rush ad that we're doing, and it's due tomorrow morning, and I had to look at the layout before leaving. And so I do things that are meaningful to me.
So what is your background? So you're UGA
Master's and PhD in English from the
in
University of
English,
Georgia.
and how did you get into the marketing graphic design world that you're in now? What
So
was that transition look
I
like?
have been a writer since I was 8 years old. Was writing short stories when I was 8. I've always been a writer, and before I finished my PhD, I was professor at a small college in Delaware, and I was the faculty advisor of the student newspaper. And we started doing ads, of course, and then I realized, okay, this is really easy, and I like doing this. So I ended up in advertising that way. I never didn't really intend to do it, and but the funny thing was, in college as an undergrad, every time I took a personal interest test, it said I should be in advertising. But
Wow.
I didn't know anybody in advertising. I didn't know anything about it really. But I ended up there. I didn't need the master's and PhD to do what I'm doing, but
Sure.
it sort of gives me some credibility when I have clients that are like C-suite people, and they go, "Oh, she has a PhD. I guess I can trust her." So there's a little trust factor
What was
there.
the allure to writing? What kind of writing did you do?
Well,
Was it all
growing up, I
journalism,
was
capturing events, or?
short stories.
Oh, cool.
I wrote my first short story when I was 8 years old, but even now, if I'm writing an email to someone, I craft it. I can't help it. I'm just a wordsmith, and so but writing and thinking are the same thing. If you can think,
Sure.
you can write, and actually, in order to think, you have to be able to write. So, and the brand strategy, which is what I do now, it's just natural. If you are a thinker and you think marketing, it's just as natural.
Sure.
So,
So you took what does that road look like? The English program for the master's and PhD at UGA. How long were you there?
living
How long-
hell. So just to give you
I
an
believe you.
example.
I believe you.
So after you finish for the PhD, after you finish your coursework, then you take a couple months and you study for your written exams, and you have 4 hour written exams. 2 are in your major area, and mine was Southern Lit was American Lit to 1900, specifically Southern Lit, and then 1 4-hour exam in each of your minors. So the other, I had medieval and modern lit, American and British literature. When I took those, in the 2 years before me, only one other person had passed all 4.
Wow.
They're so difficult, and you get one more chance to take them, and luckily I passed all 4. So then
Wow.
you have a few more months to study, and you have a 3-hour oral exam open to the entire university. Anybody can come, and they ask you questions about anything and everything regarding British and American literature. And so it's quite rigorous. And then you get to write your dissertation, which took me several years because I was teaching at the time, knowing toward the end that I wasn't going to stay in academia. But like you said, burn the ship. I committed to doing it, so I finished it.
Sure.
And then
Where were you teaching?
it was a college called Goldie Beacom College in Wilmington, Delaware.
Oh, cool. Cool.
And but I left academia to enter the world of marketing and advertising.
Do you still enjoy literature?
Oh yeah.
Who are some of your favorites?
Well, I'm rereading Gabriel Garcia Marquez' Love in the Time of Cholera.
I'm not familiar.
It's gorgeous, gorgeous. He was a Nobel Prize winner for literature. He just died a couple years ago. A Colombian writer, and I guess that's a translation. And I thought, well, given the pandemic that we're pretty much out of, but we've just gone through, how appropriate
Sure.
to read that book again, because that's set in another time of a pandemic.
Sure.
So, and I also love a woman, Robin Oliveira, who wrote a book, I Always Loved You, and it's about Mary Cassatt and her relationship with one of the French Impressionists and Imaginary. So, and I read a lot of nonfiction as well.
Cool. What kind of nonfiction?
Well, I brought one with me.
Oh, cool. What is it?
Okay, want me to show it?
Sure, yeah.
Okay,
You could show the camera if you want.
okay. I read this when I first got into advertising. This has been translated into every language on the planet. It's probably, I don't know, this might be the 30th edition. And this changed everything for me. And it's throughout everything I do. It's the foundation of brand strategy, but positioning the battle for your mind. Every human being, every product, every company is positioned in the minds of its consumers and employees. And if you don't do it, the market will do it for you.
Sure.
So you better take hold of it, because this is the foundation. If you get this right, then everything else is cake. But a lot
I need to read that.
a lot of brands don't know. Yeah, it's very inexpensive. Get it on Amazon, and like I said, I don't know what edition this is, but it's. And I actually was lucky to work with one of the authors for a while.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was a consultant at an agency I was working with, and so he used to come and lead our brainstorm.
Do you
sessions.
believe in that fact? And it's probably been twisted and turned.
Should I look that way, or is it you?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I mean, it can see you pretty good.
Yeah.
We try to find a good profile either way. If you want to talk to the camera, talk to the people that are listening, you surely can, but most people just look at us.
Yeah, okay.
More conversational.
Yeah.
But the what was I saying just now? Oh, I know what I was saying. So like with this book, the marketing book, do you believe that, that statistic that people say is like millionaires, the people that make the most money are reading like 50 books or 60 books a year or whatever? Do you find that to be, the most prominent people that you work with, the richest people that you work with in business are reading a lot?
I don't know, but I will say that years ago when I helped launch a new carpet brand for Shaw Industries, which is up there in
Cartersville. Or
No.
Dalton.
Dalton, thank you. The marketing director, I would go in his office after we had a work session. I'd go in his office and he said, okay, now, and he had this book of ideas that he kept. He called it his book of ideas. It was a journal, really, but it was just anything that popped into his head that he saw, thought, heard, that struck him, he wrote down. And so he'd say, well, these are some of my latest, and we'd just talk about those. And I thought he was inspiring, and I don't think he was like super brilliant, but his mind was open, always curious. And I think that's the thing. People who are really successful are curious and want to know about everything.
Sure.
Not just what's in their field, but everything. And that's kind of a curious mind, I think, is a sign of intelligence as well.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I could agree with that.
and also in what I do, like when you're concepting a new campaign, no such thing as a bad idea. That's the other thing. It's, having a really positive attitude. You never know, a weak idea can grow into a great idea. And so you don't want to reject it. So just be open, open to ideas.
So what was that first opportunity post the advertising for your journal, for your newspaper?
Okay, so I worked in the re-election campaign of a U.S. senator in Delaware. I won't say the political party, but he won. And then the party decided to do a quarterly newspaper, and I was asked to be the editor. So that was more PR. It was news and propaganda. And it was definitely PR. And to this day, I do a lot of PR for my clients, because actually, in terms of SEO, for the website, if you can get those backlinks coming into your website, that's going to really help your rankings, and PR is great for that. So,
Sure.
Because you send a press release to an editor, where's the editor going to go for the rest of the story? To your website.
Right. So has it been a combination of that, of marketing and PR throughout your kind of your journey through journalism? Have you ever been in that area where you're creating your own content, or you write a column, right?
I create all my own content. I've written TV commercials, radio commercials, print campaigns. I've worked with more than 50 brands, 50 brands, and I've worked with some of the biggest names in mainly B2B, but Siemens, DuPont, Georgia Pacific. I was the group creative head of 3 divisions of Bell South. So
Wow.
I've done, a lot of big name, but also startups and a lot of high tech and telecom, all of that. It's just, but mainly B2B and considered purchase.
How do
So
you get into that world? How do you get into the world of being at the table with the Georgia Pacifics and the Bell Souths of the world? I actually have a friend, someone that actually was responsible for a significant portion of my income when I was in high school due to manual, physical, hard labor of moving trees and sticks and leaves. And I mean, I worked my butt off, but I got paid well. And he was a project manager for Bell South. So what he would do was oversee the, like when Bell South is doing like a huge infrastructure overchange or new construction, and they're laying all of the framework for internet. He was at, he was the person that was running them, and he kind of had that lineage of started small with an independent contractor. That contractor became one of the preferred contractors for Bell South. He was meeting all of the project managers that were already working at Bell South, and they acquired him over time. How is it that you get into that world, that you get into that discussion of,
well,
private or
yeah.
government contracts or whatever? How is it that you get to those
Well,
deals
if
of that
you
size?
look at Siemens, Georgia Pacific, Eli Lilly, that was another one I worked on. Some of those, I was vice president and creative director of Sawyer Riley Compton, which at the time was one of the top 2 or 3 B2B agencies in the country. So they came to us, and we, like, part of my salary was based on how many awards we won. So we were highly creative, and we were in every awards competition. And then Bell South, I worked on when I left Sawyer Riley Compton. I went to a bigger agency to do more TV, and they had Bell South for 32 years
Oh, wow.
and lost it after I left. Not that they lost it because I left, but yeah.
I'm sure there's some correlation. So what is that one award that sticks out in your mind then? I'm sure there's one or maybe a collection of a couple of awards that are above.
One above all. The American Marketing Association Effie Award. And we went to New York to receive that award. And that is given not just on the creative, but the results. And it was a campaign for Elanco Animal Health, which was a division of Eli Lilly. And it was massive, massive. It was print, it was dimensional direct mail, it was everything you can think of. And we had tremendous results. And so that one, because most of the awards are just for the creative content, and I've judged some of those competitions, and you're just looking at the creative, and you don't know if it worked or not. But
Right.
the American Marketing Association demanded results. So that one means, in fact, shortly after I got that award, we got a kitten, and I named her Effie after
Oh, wow.
the award.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
When was that?
Oh, that was back in the 90s.
Oh, wow. That is awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell me kind of what is it now that is that message for you? How is it that you engage with the businesses that you're engaging with now, and what are some of those things that you convince them of? How is it that you sell to those people and you say, how do you describe the importance of your logo and your brand and your marketing campaign and PR? How is it that you put that into words?
Okay, so I rebranded as Stand Marketing for quite a while. I was just doing it under my own name, and I will be honest, I took quite a few years off to raise my daughter. Came back in on my own, but anyway, so I named the company Stand Marketing, and the tagline is "Stand for Something." And if you go to the homepage, you'll see the graphic. If your brand doesn't stand out, someone else's will. That's just a fact. There's only one number one in any product category or anything. There's only one number one, and when you first land on the apples are all green, and then that one on the right gradually becomes red when you first land on that page. But to stand out, you have to stand for something. And if you can figure out what you stand for, and that's got to be, who's your ICP, your ideal customer profile, what are that person's or industry's happy points and pain points, how do you address those happy points and pain points in a way that no one else's does, and then also in a way that your ICP cares about. Right. So once you do that, you don't reinvent the wheel with every press release or every print ad or website or blog. You know what your story is. You know what you even so, like I have one client in Dawsonville that I've gotten some magazine profiles for, and they get interviewed. And so before we, go on the phone with the editor, we talk again about what we stand for. So every question they answer in terms of what they stand for. And so it's so unified. And if you know what you stand for, your market knows what you stand for, and your people know what you stand for, everybody knows how to address problems and how to talk about what you do. So it's just the foundation of everything. And I like to give the example of standing for something, which was and it's on my website too, but back in 1962, Hertz had invented the rent-a-car concept, the category. And so if you're number one, if you're first, you'll be number one, at least for a while. You'll always be number one for a while. And so all the other rental car companies were also RANs, and Avis had 11% of the rent-a-car market. And then came out with a campaign that said, we're only number two. And then the rest of it was, so what does it mean to you? We try harder. So they did a whole campaign, we're only number two, we try harder. Their people wore buttons that said, we try harder. They had, if you went into their rent-a-car office, they'd have a tent card that said, we're only number two, we try harder. In 4 years, they had 35% of the rent-a-car market and bumped everybody else out. I mean, they overtook Hertz. But again, they stood for something. We try harder. And because they publicized it inside and outside the company, everybody believed it and behaved accordingly.
Sure.
So
these marketing campaigns that you kind of embark on with your ideal client, are they, is that like a 6-month campaign? Is that a 12-month to 24? How long do you know, and how long does it kind of take to see the effects of the types of marketing that you're doing?
Well, when I worked for an ad agency and clients spent several $1 million, it would be maybe 3 to 6 months. But again, if you want, again, on my website, you could see the first thing you have to do is identify your market. Then you have to build awareness, because nobody's going to do business with you if they've never heard of you. You're not going to make any sales if people don't know who you are. So it depends on where they are in the cycle. So if they're in the initial stages, they've never advertised before, they're a startup, or they're rebranding, we have to build awareness. That's the most expensive, hardest, longest thing to do, because you're going to have to spend money to go broad. Once you get some traction, you have some awareness, then you can go deep and build consideration. But I mean, your website is part of the journey from the top of the funnel all the way through in most cases. So, but again, it just depends on where they are in the journey. As what I like to say is, persuasion is art, tactics are science. So a lot of it's measuring and so on. But the initial just brand strategy, that's art. That's
Sure.
Persuasion.
Sure. So what does 2021 look like for you? Are you adding more small business, startup, nonprofit, more of that? Where you can identify the desire to grow, as well as you kind of identify with their message?
And to be honest, I'd rather grow with the clients I have, but I do have a new one that's going to be online jewelry sales. And but I also spend a lot of time doing marketing as for a nonprofit that I'm on the board of, and I don't even get paid for that, but it's something very meaningful to me. So,
what is the nonprofit?
It's called the Dunwoody Preservation Trust, and we save and rehabilitate historic buildings. But that's almost the smallest thing we do. We then sponsor Lemonade Days, which is a 5-day festival attended by over 80,000 people. And we do a history camp for children in the summer. Even last year during the pandemic, we did it and didn't have a single case of COVID come from that. And we I just finished an ad this morning because we just won some awards for Best of Dunwoody, and so we're doing it. We're doing an ad that we're turning in tomorrow. So I do a lot of that. We do other things there. It's the farm that we manage is an event venue, and we have a lot of weddings there, a lot of other private events, and we participate in the Dunwoody 4th of July parade. What we do is we give people a reason to love their community and a way to be connected, and it's all about connections. If you're connected to your community and to other people, then we're more unified. We love one
100%.
another. And it's also why I write my column. I write a column called Worth Knowing for the Reporter newspapers, and we cover Buckhead, Dunwoody, Sandy Springs, and Brookhaven. And every month I profile someone or some group that's doing something that brings us together. And that's part of my purpose driven life.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. That's exciting.
Yeah. Don't make a lot of money from Worth Knowing, but I meet the most amazing people. I cannot tell you. Just amazing, courageous people.
What is the format for that? Is it like interview style?
Yeah, I interview them, and I interview them sometimes just over the phone or by Zoom. It depends on, certainly over the past year, most of it was over the phone, except for the last one where I went in person.
Sure.
But yeah, and I've met people that are doing things that if I didn't write about them, people might not know.
Right.
But they're amazing, amazing people.
Right.
And they're people that fit right in with this burn the ship.
Yeah.
These are people that commit their lives to something, and even when people fight them, they keep going.
That's what I was about to say. It seems like it comes from a very similar place as the podcast.
Yeah.
As a way to provide value and create a relationship with people worth knowing.
Well, and one of my favorite clients that I actually get paid for is a nonprofit in Columbia, South Carolina called Transitions Homeless Center. And they have a city block where they have beds and all kinds of classes and training. They also have a day center, but the goal is to have people transition from homelessness back into independent living. And I rebranded them, I guess, 3 years ago. And I do their fundraising campaigns. We do 2 of those a year. But I gave them what they stand for and a brand story. And the line is, the journey home begins here. Everything they do, even where I'm not involved, is based on the idea that getting out of homelessness is a journey, and it begins here. And see, that's why it's good to stand for something, because then you just build on it.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of
We need a
fundraisers.
tagline. That's a good place to start.
That's one of the things I do really well,
Yeah.
is the tagline.
Yeah, maybe you can help
Yeah.
us come up with one.
Yeah, yeah.
We need one because we bring a lot of value here. Mm-hmm. We do. I feel that. I mean, I know that you guys feel that. I mean, we bring a lot of value here. I mean, all of this is about is creating relationships with people that we can support and that support
Yeah.
us. Is like some of the most. So we network a lot, like BNI, Power Corps, Master Networks, all of these close seat, a lot of business associations, Chamber of Commerce is everywhere. We network. We meet people. We create those connections. One of the beautiful things about networking is that you're meeting people that want to do business in the way that you're already doing business. Like they want to be introduced, make the introduction, set up the meeting, close the deal, make the money. Like that is the lineage of you're speaking to people that have a similar process and a similar sales cycle that already know how to make an introduction and give a warm lead and understand what you do. This is nothing different. This is nothing. Is people they know how to talk. People know how to talk about themselves, about what their business does, and put that into words of, hey, here's what I do. But if they sat down by themselves at home at night, couldn't piece together that message in their mind.
Some of it too, like when I start with a new client, we do a half-day brand brainstorm, and we get all the key people in a room, and we talk about, okay, what do you do? What customers do you have that you like? What customers do you want to get rid of? Who's your ICP? What are your problems, challenges? What are your opportunities? And then I go back and put it through my brain and come back with a summary and then recommendations talking about what they stand for. And
Sure.
So my client in Dawsonville is a gearbox manufacturer and repair. And what they do is they work with International Paper, all these major
Right.
manufacturers. Any company that manufactures something
Right.
has gears, and gears are in gearboxes. And
Right.
if they fail, the whole thing shuts down. So it's Atlanta Gear Works, and what
Right.
they do is essential. And so when we did
I
our
feel like Dawsonville's an incredible place to start to build a kind of a brand and some
yeah,
recognition
yeah.
as well.
And so they were promoting just gearbox repair, but when I spent the half day with them, what I realized is you're in a service business because they guarantee 24/7 response, and they go
24/7.
above and beyond just fixing a gearbox. What they do is amazing. So we rebranded, focusing on service. And
Sure.
they got articles in trade publications, and it was nobody else was doing that.
Do you have clients that their ideal client is smaller? Like our ideal client is, some business that's doing, $1 million to $10 million a year in credit card processing. And, define the industry, tell you what they do, what that person looks like and stuff. What do you have people that are looking to speak that message to that demographic of business as well, or is it all the bigger, smaller?
No, I have in the past. Right now, I don't. The jewelry company, we're in the formative stages. I mean,
Sure.
I'm helping them actually figure out their basic business.
Sure.
That'll be B2C.
Yeah.
But it's going to be high-end jewelry, so it'll be a considered purchase.
Mm-hmm.
So no, right now I would say, well, okay, so transitions, all the fundraising that we do, we're appealing to
Sure.
corporate sponsors and individuals, and
Right.
some of these people don't give a lot of money, but they're compelled to give some because the story is so
Right.
compelling.
Yeah, that's just something that I've kicked around in my mind. We always, we say that we live in this world where credit card processing just isn't that thing that pops as far as digital marketing goes. The podcast may be a different conversation. The podcast and the value that we bring, and the people that we have in the office are incredible people. It may be something that we can craft a little bit of a different message there, and kind of point that towards some of those people in order to build their relationship.
Well, to be honest, it sounds like y'all lead personally purpose-driven lives. Mm-hmm. Am I right?
Oh, for sure.
Well, there's a whole segment of our population that values that
Right.
and doesn't want to just, okay, send me a bill, here's my payment.
Right.
They want more than that, and they want to know that they're dealing with people that have, again, what you stand for. That includes your values.
Right.
So it's not just we do business; we have values and Now, this is not true of all consumers, but there are a lot of people out there that want to do business with people or companies that share their values.
Right.
And I'm not saying wear your religion on your sleeve, because I don't do that, but I am a woman of faith. But still, there are people out there that would way prefer to deal with a business that shares their values.
Right.
And, we know what's going on in Georgia right now. There's extreme animosity towards some of our corporations that are, I'm not going to get political, but, people feel they betrayed us.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they're being political.
yeah,
Those
and
they're
that's
being
not
extremely
good.
political. Yeah.
And I think
Very polarizing type of opinions. They're kind of polarizing type of
most
actions.
people are sick of that. They want to get along. One thing I know from the column I write is that people basically want to get along. They want to find common ground. They want to like other people. And I mean, I'm in a wine group. I have this group of friends. We drink really high-end wine and have these amazing parties. And I don't know what people's political parties are, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We share other things. And
Yeah.
so
You're all red wine. Yeah, that's what it is.
yeah, we had an Easter luncheon that lasted 7 hours.
Yeah. 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 Nice.
It's fun.
Yeah.
So
3 hours to drink, 4 hours to sober up, drive home. Yeah, well, that's awesome. How I want to ask always kind of how I love the story that you have. You've given me a different kind of idea of the marketing. I would love to read that book. I think we're going to order a couple as soon as we get off of here. How can we help you? You know, it looks like you're kind of seen as you've boiled everything down to really being purpose driven, intentional, and kind of the people that you're bringing on. How can we help you?
Well,
What
I
is
will
it that we
say
can do?
all of my clients, and I don't have that many, they're long term. I don't, I'm not really looking for project work.
Sure.
I'm looking for relationships. And they all have the same values that I have. And I think that is so, like, you need to trust, they need to trust me. I need to trust them. And obviously, you're going to trust somebody who shares your values
Right.
much more easily. So, yes, I would love to find a few more clients. I love manufacturers because what they do is there's no smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
You make something.
Yeah.
How
I do
novel
too.
is that?
We have an incredible client that builds retractable awnings, and they sell that to independent contractors.
Smart.
Man, those people are the real home runs for us. Is
Yeah.
the people that are selling to the Chuck in the Truck people. Like, we have one that sells kitchen, like all your countertops, all of your plumbing work, all like your faucets, everything like that. Anything that goes in a kitchen for new builds, they sell all of that to independent contractors, renovation experts, people that deal with, like, after your home gets a disaster, a flood or fire or whatever, millions and millions and millions of dollars a month in revenue. You know, checks, cash, credit cards, all things acclimated. I mean, you're talking, you know, 50-60 million dollars in revenue a year, and it's pure manufacturing. You know, it's assembly
So they
lines
actually
and-
make this stuff.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
they make it here?
oh yeah. They do.
See, that counts for a lot.
It does. It does.
Made
And that's
right
their
here.
message. That's their message. Is we're in Florida, and everything is in Florida, and you can see everything beginning to end, whatever you want to see, and you know that what you're getting is quality, real stuff.
And also, if you're an independent contractor, you're out there scrapping, you know, for a living,
Yeah.
and you would rather support a business that is making stuff
That's going to
in your
support you
state.
as well. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's supporting the exact same things that you're doing. You're going to a local store to buy things. It's like Costco. You know, it's like Costco for us for groceries is you're buying things at a quantity and a scale that's so beneficial for your business that you're only doing business in one place. That is unique. Like when I see that, that you have a corner on your customers where you're, like you said, building consideration, except for you're spending more time eliminating consideration of other people by continuing to add value with what you're doing. They're incredible. You know, those are incredible business people that we learn from those business people. They're great clients. We do a really good job for those clients. Those people are very savvy. I mean, I think that company has like 30 salespeople. And it's awesome. You know, it's awesome. We want to build more connections in that
But
space
what
as well.
what you do for them is their credit card processing.
Yeah, we do a lot for them. We do their credit card processing for a lot of their clients. As they're getting paid credit cards, they're getting, you know, anybody that's using Square, Stripe, QuickBooks, whatever, they're just paying an outrageous percentage. You know, we can give them a very local, small town company feel and service with technology that is applicable to their situation at a rate and a funding time that isn't outrageous.
So I have a friend who's involved in a startup where they are buying truckloads of the sort of stuff you're talking about from Home Depot and Lowe's and companies like that. And it's overstock, some of its returns, and
Like
they're
surplus style.
and they're selling it at a great discount, and
Yeah.
they're just getting started.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine that's doing that in Cedartown, sells overstocked like patio furniture, things like that, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, because you're getting $1,500 set of patio furniture for $500. Like,
And then what this company is doing is selling to independent contractors.
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ideal.
So
Well, I'm looking to build some relationships for you and stay
Yeah.
in your network.
Yeah.
This is exciting. I hope that we
Thank
come
you.
up with a tagline that gets your seal of approval
Yeah.
as well. Anything else we can do for you, let us know. But this is Burn the Ship. I
well, you know, just find me some smaller businesses. You know, I not so small they really can't afford to do anything. But you know,
a mission and a budget.
yeah.
Yep.
A mission. That is absolutely. And maybe they haven't formulated or articulated their mission and what they stand for.
Right.
And I can help them do that. And that will drive business. It may not, what you're doing when you do that, you're not going to appeal to everybody.
Sure.
But you're going to appeal to the right people. the
Right.
ones that will stick with
That's
you.
what we want.
And I years ago when I first got started, I had a mentor who said it's less expensive to grow your business with the clients you already have than it is to go out and get new clients.
For sure.
Plus, it's more rewarding
Yeah,
to have the relationships.
for sure.
So-
Well, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for
Appreciate
having me.
Carol Niemi, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.